Okay, so I showed you in my last video that I had my starter clutch went out on my 1982 KZ1100. So went ahead and I ordered the parts. I bought the rebuild kit for the starter clutch from Z1enterprises.com. Great place. I buy a ton of products from them. Well, not a lot of products because my KZ doesn't break down that often. But I buy my stuff from them. They're really great. Shipping, service, everything's awesome. Prices are the best. Let me give you a quick show of what we have. This is the rotor. This is the one tool you're going to need here. Alright, there's the needle bearing, there's the clutch. And what I've done is I've gone through, I've cleaned everything up with some, just used some standard engine degreaser for about $1.98 a bottle. Oh, the other thing we're going to need is a little bit of a blue thread locker of some sort. I happen to be using some Permatex thread locker. You get it for a few bucks out at Walmart. And this is the new kit, okay? This has the new roller bearing, or rollers on it. You can see the springs here are all the same size. And I'm going to grab one of these and show you the difference. Here's the original spring, or how long the spring is supposed to be. And here's how long those other ones are that were in there. So you can see they do compress and wear down over time. Anyway, that's the kit. That kit is going to go into, come over here. And that kit is going to go into here. Okay. Here I'm going to pull this off, and you can see that needle bearing there. And I'm going to turn it around here so you can see the bad one. See that? That right there, that nasty little bugger was busted up. So I have to replace that. That's pretty easy. But I'm going to bring this over and we'll double check and make sure that these two are exactly the same. And yes they are. And the same width. Alright, so that's the junk one. That's all messed up. So I'll go ahead and replace this one. This is pretty easy to do. And it's replaced. Now, I'm going to double check and make sure that this is going to fit on there okay. There we go. Make sure it spins freely. Good, that sound is gone. It was making a really nasty sound before. So that's on there. Everything's seated good. It's not, doesn't really have any wobble to it. So we'll go over here and we'll begin to prepare this. Alright, to do this, real simple. And I hate to do this one-handed, but you can see in there's a little hole right in there. Spring goes in there. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put the cap on. Okay. So now I've got the pin on the spring. Put that in place. You see, we'll push that pin up in there, like so, and drop that in. Got it. See how that's in there now? Now see what happens is gravity's allowed to, or the centrifugal force is allowed to pull that away while it's spinning around. And when you have to go to start the bike, the springs push it back into place and push it against that shaft. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other two. Alright, when that's all done, that's what it looks like. See, these kind of go up in, make sure they come back real good, real nice. Alright, now this is the original washer that was in there. So I'm going to leave that in there. Put it in like that. And then this has to go onto that. To do that, I'm simply going to turn it over and hope this works. There we go. Alright, you can see I'll line up the holes here. And first thing I want to do is, and I've already gone through and pretty much cleaned most of this off, but I'm going to give these another quick wipe down and make sure that I get as much of that oil off of there as I can. It's good and cleaned off. Yeah, there we go. Now to do thread locker is pretty simple. I'm going to use some blue, because I may have to eventually take these off one day. And just place a little drop on there. Once you get that little drop on, bring it up. I've got it all lined up. Put it in there. We'll do the same thing to these other two. And take our Allen wrench, screw these down in there. Now when you're screwing these down in, don't go too tight with them right away. Just get them down, not even quite finger snug, just touching down. Once you get it kind of touching down, just give it a little wiggle. Make sure it seats right. Okay, so there's our unit there. I'm going to tighten these down really good. Okay, so now we're back over to the motor here. This is actually probably about the easiest repair and replacement I think I could ever do. As you can see, once again, there's the needle bearing. I put the clutch gear back on there. We're going to put the idler gear back into its place, and that's pretty simple. Just kind of slide that in there like that, connect it up, and maneuver around, push that pin in. There. Now you've got the whole thing working right. Now this actually seats into this right here, so it doesn't have that any kind of wobble around. Got that on. Now I'm going to take the clutch or the rotor clutch here and slide that back on. Place. There we go. Now I can tell already that it's working and grabbing, because I can turn it to the left freely, which you should be able to do, is turn it to the left freely. But then when you try to go back the other way, see there, it's stopping it. So what's going to happen is when the starter engages, turns this, and turn this to turn the motor this way. Turn the motor to turn the motor over, but then this will be able to spin freely without this moving at all. So, and once you've done that, we'll take our bolt. All right, keep a little bit of oil on there, make sure that's good and good on there. It goes in, help us slide in a little bit easier. Put that bolt in, and we'll tighten that bolt down. And you have to double check your book and make sure you know what your torque specs are. I'm not going to hand out any torque specs in this video because I don't want any liabilities. Read your book. So I'm going to tighten that down. I'm going to put this cover back on, and we'll start the motor up. Okay, I've got the cover back on. I'm just finishing tightening up these last Allen heads on here. That's on there. I already went and put that cover back on there, which I actually never even need to take off. So now, go up here, turn her on. Yep, make sure she's in neutral, and make sure nothing flies off of this thing. Part way. Alright, as you can see, that's a complete and successful starter clutch repair with a rebuild kit and a needle bearing on a 1982 KZ1100. My name is Shannon. You can find me on KZWriter.com as Shannon Bow. I buy my parts for my KZ1100 off Z1Enterprises.com, and no, I don't have any affiliation with either one of those organizations. I'm just a writer, and I fix my own bike. So you can do the same thing. Have fun.